Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson. This is a Sunday paper review with the Snapchat Q&A. So if you've got your questions in, thank you. I will try to get through absolutely every single one of them. There's an absolute ton. My phone is blowing up. They're still coming on right now. But before we get into it, I just want to say, again, apologies for the lack of uploads. There is a vlog going up later on tonight with a little bit of behind the scenes at Bellator from last weekend. I'm a little bit slow getting these out, getting them into the right sort of order. Basically, I'm just trying to prepare myself for the start of August, really, because the start of August, I will be doing one thing every single day on the channel. I've got, obviously, the backdrop here behind me, as you can see, for MMA Latest. I've got the MMA Latest shows to be doing on Friday. There is going to be more shows that I will be doing each Friday as well, and I can't tell you about that just yet, but they will be somewhere really awesome. Big, big, big news for the MMA shows and for MMA Latest. I'm also thinking about doing live broadcasted MMA shows through Facebook as well, and I've been messing around with the settings on that today, and that looks really cool. We used to do Hangouts about 2 years ago on YouTube, but then we learned that YouTube doesn't really like long videos with, like, people drop off when you do an hour and a half long show, so we heard that YouTube doesn't like that, but now YouTube does like that, so we're going to give it another fucking go, basically. Hang on, let me turn that off. Right, so let's get straight into it. The first thing that we've got for you today, we've got the sun. The sun's always good for its bullshit, isn't it? Pow! And what we're going to go for is Jose's coming out and saying, come and have a go. Jose invites Scholes, Keane and Ferdinand to the training ground so they can come and talk to him and the players about any issues that they've got. And instead of slagging us off through BT Sport, through the newspaper columns, through any time that they're a pundit on TV like they did under the Van Gaal era, he's inviting them to come to the training ground, acknowledge that they are legends at the club, they will always be welcome at the club. And do you know what, whether it's just lip service that Jose's paying to it, I think that's an excellent idea from his point of view. All of these lads, I think, including Scholes, have done their coaching badges. They're all players that you think would make excellent coaches. Obviously, some of them actually actively working and coaching and stuff like that, like Roy Keane. So I think anytime that you've got the opportunity, there was a little bit of a rumour that Keane was going to be brought in as an assistant under Jose, wasn't there, at the start of the reign, before he brought in his old mucker in. I can imagine Roy Keane being a phenomenal assistant, especially if you've got a boss that's a people's person like Jose is. Jose, for some players at least, he puts an arm around them and they'd run through walls for him. You need a good cop and a bad cop. Normally, the manager's the bad cop and then the assistant is the good cop, if you think of the likes of Brian Kidd and Steve McLaren and Jimmy Murphy and some of the big name assistant managers that we've had down the years. Their job's to kind of like just chill everyone out a little bit when the boss goes apoplectic. So I think having Roy Keane, now it's the other way around, isn't it? You're going to have to be the good cop and Roy Keane just glares at people. But I can see that working. Keane demands perfection. There's a story that Dwight York's first day at training as a Manchester United player, he walks in, he's all smiles. You can imagine, can't you? Dwight York literally is the happiest man in the world. He's walking onto the training field, he's shaking people's hands, he's stuff like that. The very first drill that they do, he's not even said hello to him yet, Keno fires the ball at him from about 3 yards away, gets right in his face and goes, Cantona would have controlled that. Nice one. Roy Keane, you're a fucking psychopath. But that was the level of... fucking Harley's going outside. That was the level of perfection that Roy Keane demanded. Now, I think it tips into psychopathy occasionally. I think he's an absolute nutcase, but there's sometimes room for nutcases, and I think Roy Keane in the dressing room, it would go one way or another. It'd be a resounding success, or he'd just people would be like, fuck this, I'm not working with him, he's off his head. But either way, Jose's invited him in, and I personally think that's probably a good thing. Now, we can't get away from it. It's in every single one of the newspapers. This is also an interesting thing. In the bottom here, the heat is on. And it says, experts warn people not to exercise in the hot polluted conditions which United have played in China because of the absolutely nuts pollution. Now, we've obviously played 2 matches there. I don't think it's going to affect our performances and stuff going into the season, but it's not healthy to be breathing in that air. They had to stop all manufacturing prior to the Olympics going in Beijing, and it was still pretty smoggy. So the government guidelines was recommending that people wore masks to walk around. So when you're breathing, when you're pushing hard in pre-season and you're taking massive big gulps of air, it's probably not the best place to be in China. But luckily, this is only a very, very short tour. We're not going to be there for a great deal of time before we're back. We play Galatasaray over in Sweden, and then we're back on normal preparations. We've got Wayne Rooney's testimonial and the Charity Shield, and the season is going to be on us before we know it. It talks a little bit about the nations of, or the nationalities of the managers, and then we get into this. Big Sam's Euro pain can fuel the revival. Mike McGrath going in saying that the first priority is to change England players' mentality. I do agree with that. And then you've got Karen Brady's column in here, and she says some ridiculous stuff, and she says some pretty interesting stuff, if I'm being completely honest. The FA didn't ask her for a reference. That's weird. She reckons that he won't let the media get in the way of picking his team. That's good, because I do think the media has picked the team, or had a massive influence in picking the team since about the year 2000 in terms of England. So I think that's something that can definitely be changed. But it's our opening line. I genuinely believe that if Sam Allardyce was today the manager of Manchester United and the England job came along, he would take it without hesitation. When was Big Sam ever in contention for the United job? When's he ever been in contention for a big job? The fact of the matter is that England are a mediocre team because we appoint mediocre managers to manage mediocre players. We have players in this country that are excellent technically, and we have enough talent in this country to produce a team that performs better than getting beat by Iceland. This year, what was I think I said before the start, didn't I? The quarterfinals was the minimum and probably maximum expectation that you could have expected for England. If we'd have got to the semi-finals, I think you could have considered that success. If you'd have got to the final and then maybe won it, that would have been fantastic success. If you just said, just like, yes, all right, that was decent, semi-finals, not talking about coming doing a parade, you know what I'm on about. Quarterfinals would have been like, okay, that was the minimum we expected, we didn't go any further, but that was the minimum. Going out in the second round to Iceland, unacceptable. Unacceptable with the players at our disposal. And I think you have to start looking outside of the favourites. You know, I think some of the Leicester lads was maybe unfortunate not to be included in this England squad when they're so clearly in good form. The likes of Jack Wilshere, you know my thoughts on that. He should not have gone after playing one Premier League game. That's absolutely ridiculous. No, I would even favour taking the likes of Wilfred Zaha just so you had a balanced squad, because we had like one true winger in the squad, didn't we? And he was shit. So if you're going to have someone, if you're going to build a squad, you can't take too many of the same players. It's like taking 7 goalkeepers. What's the point? You need to take different styles of players. And I wouldn't have minded seeing Wilf Zaha, you know, because he can unlock a defence. Didn't work out for him at United. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. That's a player that I think could definitely do something, at least off the bench, or be in and around the squad for England. Definitely. Let's move on now to the Sunday Sport. The back page is another comedy one. As if Arsenal are going to sign 2 players. Do me a favour. Arsene Wenger is not going to send up that sort of cash. And they're saying 75 million for Alexandre Lacazette and Riyad Mahrez. Now, I thought Mahrez has been touted at around about 50 mil, so there's no way you're getting Lacazette for 25 mil, mate, when Watford won't sell Igalo for less than 40. Gunners, dream on. You ain't getting that. Not a prayer. Not an absolute prayer. Again, more with Big Sam. Also touching on Moyes here, saying that it's a good signing for Sunderland. Do you know what? It might be. It might be a decent signing. He's got his back to the wall. He's going to have to graft. The expectation is just to keep them up. I think he can probably do that. I wish him no ill, but I don't like Sunderland. After all the shenanigans, the fucking small-time behaviour from Sunderland fans with United over the years has been ridiculous. They stopped us temporarily winning the title. I think it might have been 2006. 2005, something like that. I can't actually remember which one it was. But they celebrated. They was already relegated and they drew 0-0 with us. The keeper had a fucking worldie. And they celebrated like they'd actually won the league. Pathetic. And then they did the Poznan when we drew the league with City, and forget it. Absolutely forget it. Terry Butcher's saying that Sam Allardyce is a Ron Seal manager, does exactly what it says on the tin. I like my football played on the floor, and I like it fast and counter-attacking. You know, Big Sam likes it played in the air and very, very direct. Now, maybe that'll suit England. Maybe that would suit our style of play. Maybe we shouldn't be looking to replicate the Spains of this world and the Italys of this world. Maybe we should go, do you know what? Kick rush is English style of football. let's just stick with it. But I actually think we're better than that as a footballing nation. I think we've got far more technical players than we're given credit for. But appointing someone like Big Sam's a fucking joke, innit? I mean, Capello gets a lot of shit for the style of play that he had. He had like a 67% win ratio. That's mint. That's absolutely mint. Now, you're going to fail at some point with England because we're not the best team in the world. So you can't expect to win anything, ever, really. The best you can hope for is it in the semi-finals occasionally, or maybe fluffing your way into a final, but you're not going to really win stuff with England. That's the problem with these international competitions. They come around only every 2 years, the World Cup only every 4. And if you don't win one, you're 4 years away from winning it the next time. So there's not many of them competitions you get the opportunity to win. So unless you're very fortunate that your team's peaking at the right time, it just doesn't happen for you. There was something else that I wanted to speak about in here, but now I can't find it. Oh yeah, that was it. Rachel Riley, the lovely Rachel Riley, is going to be joining Jeff Stelling on the Friday night Premier League coverage. So that's pretty cool. Not that I ever get to watch it, but you know, that's pretty cool. So I might have to record that and see how she does. Obviously a United fan. Obviously clever with the numbers, so let's see how she does. Big double spread on Moisey. Ronnie Whelan's backed Jurgen Klopp to get top 4. But if you look at the stats that he's got down here, his win percentage at Anfield is 42%. Van Gaal's was 50. And he won an FA Cup. And he got sacked. There's no way, with that record, that you're going to be able to get it. And people say, oh, it was his first season, this, that and the other. Well, yeah, Van Gaal got us into 4th in his first season. How long are you going to be giving Klopp time for? He was there from October. He's had a transfer window. He's in his second transfer window. And a minute, he's buying lower league players, and that's about it, really. Mid-table Premier League players, lower league players. I thought Liverpool might be a force if they got some decent signings in. Doesn't look like it going forward. Next season's Premier League massively entertaining. I think Chelsea are going to be a real threat with Conte and Kante. That's a hell of a duo. And if they get Lukaku back as well, definitely starting to look a little bit tasty. Right, should we get into the Snapchat questions? There's absolutely loads of them. So we'll see how many we can get through. Alrighty, where is it? Okay, Snapchat. There's 86 Snapchats. Right, we ain't getting through all of them. We'll start at the bottom and see what everyone comes in with. So when was the first ones in? Let's start with that one at 1 hour ago. Someone's got the new United kit. No question. Happy days. Your views on Marshall not having the number 9 no more. Some say Man United disrespected him in a way and just moved him to the side. Look, it's a seniority thing. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is clearly a senior player. It's a fucking number at the end of the day. He wears 11 for France. Don't see the issue. People are saying, oh, he's unfollowed United on Twitter. So what? If he unfollows him, he's unfollowed him. He's got a contract that says he's going nowhere, so unless we want to sell him, he's going nowhere. He can be upset if he wants. Alright, maybe he was building a brand. Fucking deal with it. Shit changes. Cristiano Ronaldo wore 9 for a little bit at Real Madrid, then he got the 7. Zlatan's probably got... He's gone in 24 months, innit? Right? He's probably gone in 12 months, but he's definitely gone in 24 months. You can have the number 9 there. Who cares? We'll still sing your name. That's from Vin. Connor Love, 31. What do we think our chances to win the league are with and without Pogba? I think with Pogba, we've got a massive shout, and I think we've definitely done the best business in the transfer market so far. Without him, we'll probably sign somebody else later in the window if we don't get him, but I think it's very likely that we do get him. What do I think will be Rashford's role next season? Starter alongside Ibrahimovic? Question mark. No, I don't think he will be a starter, and I don't think he should be a starter either. He's been accelerated into first team contention, but he's not really a first team player. There's a lot of rough edges to his play. There's a lot of things that he needs to improve upon, and I would like to see him improve upon those things. He probably will be involved on the bench, but that's where you end up stagnating as a player. I would like to see him play more, but does he play ahead of Rooney? Maybe. But he won't. Does he play ahead of Zlatan? No. Does he play ahead of Rashford? No. Is he going to play ahead of Mkhitaryan? No. So he needs to... People need to relax on him a little bit, because I think fans are putting more pressure on him, more expectation on him than him and the coaches are probably putting on themselves. Phone keeps locking. Where was we? With the midfielders we've got now and Pogba hopefully coming in, does Fellaini have a chance in the squad, and what midfielder should leave? It probably will be Schweinsteiger, and it probably will be Fellaini. All the talk is that Fellaini's gone. That he's already left his house and stuff like that, so we shall see. Thoughts on Martial and his recent activity? Nothing to worry about. No, I don't think so. And that is from Tobias. Michael, Marge, ever cried or been emotional at a United game? Was pretty emotional at Sir Alex Ferguson's leaving speech. That was kind of emotional. And pretty emotional at the 2008 Barcelona semi-final, because it took me like 3 days to get there, and I literally got to Old Trafford for 7:30 after coming all the way from Iraq. I went from Iraq to Qatar, Qatar to Turkey, Turkey to Cyprus, Cyprus to Dusseldorf, Dusseldorf to Breisnort, when my dad picked me up, drove me straight to Old Trafford. And I'd been awake for days. Thoughts on Januzaj's future, and do you think it was fair for him to lose the 11? Yeah. I don't give a shit about squad numbers, really, in the grand scheme of things. Thoughts on Januzaj's future? I don't reckon it looks good under Mourinho, because he's similar in the defensive duties that he offers players, or he wants from players, to Louis van Gaal, and that was supposedly one of the reasons why he couldn't go. I mean, it could surprise me, because he has got one of the best touches I've seen. Very technical footballer. Good brain with the ball at his feet. Clearly, obviously not got the best of brains with the ball, without the ball at his feet. Official Ilipai. Who do you think United's best signing will be, value for money and end product? From the looks of things, Mkhitaryan looks pretty real deal, doesn't it? In both the pre-season games so far. Arguably man of the match in a pair of them. He could be the one. This one is from Ewan. How long do I think Mourinho will be in charge for? Some suggestions he will be here for more than 6 years. What are your thoughts? Now, a lot of people have said that this is the one where Mourinho's going to stick around, and this is the job that he's always wanted, and this, that, and the other, and the pressures are different at United than other clubs. And the fact of the matter is, we shall wait and see. Moyes was given a 6-year contract and gone after 10 months. Van Gaal was given a 3-year contract, won the FA Cup, was gone after 2. So, who knows? It's going to depend on how successful we are, and a lot of other outside factors that we probably can't influence as well, or he can't influence. This one from Matthew. Well, mate, just want your take on a Pogba situation. What's yours out of 10 for him? Mine's 9 out of 10. 0.5 is the agent fee not being agreed, and the other 0.5 is Madrid swooping for him. That's from Matthew. I would probably give it more from Madrid swooping in, to be honest, because they generally get what they want, don't they? And I know that they didn't get De Gea, and that was literally because of a broken fax machine. I hope that was from some fuckery from Woodward, but I think it probably was just a broken fax machine. Why are we still using faxes in 2016, 2015? I don't know. My thoughts on the Pogba deal. It seems like it's all going in the right direction. There's not really any reports coming out saying we can't agree a fee and we can't get Raiola's fee agreed. And it just seems like the small details at the moment. I think it'll be done. Relax, just chill. This is from Hi. Thoughts on Varela leaving on loan? Yeah, I'm a bit gutted. I like Varela. I like the energy in him. I think he's actually better defensively than a lot of people have been giving him credit for. He got torn to pieces by Coutinho. Do you know what? Sometimes that happens and you get a really good attacking player. But if you watched him on a more regular basis, you'll see that he had a fantastic defensive work ethic. He had a fantastic jockey in him. And going forward with the ball, he had such a great tempo. I loved the way he linked up with the likes of Herrera, similar sort of players where they've always got that energy. They're always looking to give and go. They're always looking to make space, and they're always looking to get something. He's got a fantastic cross on him. So he's different to some of the other right-backs that we've got in the side. I liked him as an option. You know, what would it have cost to keep him around? But whatever. He's gone now. He is only on loan though, so if he has another good season, who knows? There could be some options there for him. Kieran, gambling. Who's better, Martial or Dembele? Well, I think you have to say at the moment Martial, but Dembele looks decent, doesn't he? Obviously, he's going to be a decent player. Dortmund have done some excellent signings of young players, clearly preparing for the future and for when they eventually sell them to Bayern Munich. This was from Connor. Didn't see I think it was Connor DC. What's my dream starting 11 for next season? I will tell you once Pogba signs. Jack Walker, what's the most devastating thing to happen in recent time, like the past 15 years? Well, the past 15 years would be 2001 onwards. The Glazers was the worst thing to happen to Manchester United, without a shadow of a doubt. The money that United would have made, we would have probably made the same sort of money and be in the same sort of position that we are now, even if it was 25% or even 50% less than that. We spent £100 million on debt in that. £100 million on debt every season since 2005. Now that's literally signing Paul Pogba and boiling the piss of the entire world with a world record signing every single year, more than since 2005. Now, we'd be on 25 and fucking 5 or 6, wouldn't we, by now, if that was the case? At least. We might have even been the first ones to retain it. Who knows what we would have done? We might have been able to resist selling Ronaldo because there wouldn't have been the pressures on us like there was at the time. You know, we might have been like, how about you? We don't sell you. How about we give you 400 grand a week? How's that sound? And there's a Bugatti Veyron. Shut your fucking mouth. That's Jack Water 99. Bosh, thanks for your question. Lewis Parker 19. Is it a good thing we lost to Dortmund and we've had 2 previous good pre-seasons? They're not linked, really. It's not a good thing that we lost. Obviously, you want to win. You want to keep people building the confidence and stuff like that. The problem is, I mean, we had fantastic pre-seasons, beating Real Madrid, beating Barcelona under Louis van Gaal, but then we didn't play that same sort of style. If you lose and you're playing the same sort of style and you're building up towards playing that same sort of style, then probably no, it's not a good thing. If you win and you win playing the style that you intend to play out in the rest of the season, then yes, that's a good thing. If you're just using them for match fitness and stuff like that, they don't really matter. And to be honest, we don't know at what stage. Here's the thing, right? In pre-season training, a lot of matches are played under duress. Like, it depends on the manager, what they want to do. But when I've been involved in pre-season, sometimes you're doing 2 or 3 sessions a day, and you might have done a session before the match, so you're already bollocks going into the match because they want to see how you're reacting to being pre-fatigued before you play. So you don't and can't read too much into the performances and the results in pre-season, as tempting as it is to do so, because this is the evidence of the team playing together on the pitch. But you also don't know how motivated the manager is, how well prepared the manager is. Jose Mourinho is a manager that gives dossiers on the teams that he's playing against. I doubt he's doing that in pre-season. I think he's more concentrating on developing the players and the teamwork and the work ethic amongst the team. So don't read too much into it, but it is nice to win. It's not good to lose, ever. I don't like losing the fucking toss of a coin. Alex M94. Who do I want in midfield if Pogba doesn't happen? The only other one that's really on my mind is Cruz. Apart from that, it would have been Kante, but now he's gone to Chelsea, so it's got to be between those 2 for me. Jordan Stockton, what do you think will be a realistic expectation for next season? Top 4 or the title? And whose system do you think will take longer to be integrated into the new teams, Guardiola or Mourinho? Well, I think Mourinho's is actually very, very, very similar to Louis van Gaal's, except in the final third. I think he's a little bit more direct, which is just what we need. Defensively, it'll be very similar, though. And he's a very pragmatic manager that looks to not lose and then win the game rather than win the game and not lose. Guardiola's system seems to take a long time to integrate. He's got a lot of older players. I definitely think Mourinho's system is going to come into it quicker than Guardiola's will. As for whether we can win it or come top 4, ask me after the derby, because we need to get some run of games and we need to see how everyone's adapting, and we need to finish off the transfer window and see what the team's going to be looking like at the start of September. But thank you for your question. This one's a video. One of these is going to be a dick one day, isn't it?
And I got a question, man. When is this Pogba saga going to end? It's been dragging on for way too long.
No idea. Probably in the next week or so, I would have thought. I don't think it'll rumble past the Charity Shield. I think by the time the Charity Shield's here, we'll be like, is it happening or what? And if it's not, then we'll bounce and we'll go and get our secondary targets. Who do I think will start at right back against Bournemouth? Darmian's the obvious choice, but no pre-season. He might be given an extended break. He might also be hammering him in training when he comes back. Wouldn't be upset if it was Valencia, to be honest. This one is from Harrison. What would you do if Ed Wood would sack Mourinho and decided he could be the manager, so appointed himself? I think we fucking riot, don't we? Because that's ridiculous. Matt O'Rourke said, am I worried about other teams' transfer activity in the league? I think that said. No. Chelsea are doing well. City aren't doing jack shit at the moment. Nobody else is doing anything. If Arsenal sign Mahrez, they've just signed another creative, silky midfielder. Haven't they got about 27 of those? If they sign Lacazette, that's a good signing for them, but let's face it. Fucking Arsenal, innit? David, do you think Giggs will make a successful manager? Do you think he'll ever manage United? Yeah, I think he's got it in him to to be a successful manager. I don't think he'll ever manage United, though. Just a hunch. JP Presco. Who's our right back? Like I said, Valencia, Darmian, one of those two probably. I don't want to see Fosu Mensah played there. Do you think we'll win the league next season and put the league in order? Christ, mate. Ask me after the derby, the league starts shaping up 4 to 6 weeks in, and then we'll have an idea. Do I expect any more signings if Pogba happens? Yeah, I think we might be getting like Jesus or Lozano post the Olympics. I reckon a couple of the cheaper 20, 21-year-old players that are going to be fringe, not first choice. Will Premier League 2 be better than the old under-21 Premier League? Well, it's under-23s now, isn't it? But probably not in the grand scheme of things. It's just not competitive enough. There's no atmosphere to them. That's why I was in favour of having some sort of actual competitive football for under-21s or academies where they can play against League 1, League 2. Now, people say that's devaluing League 1 and League 2. Wouldn't have them in the league. No one gives a fuck about the Johnson's Paint Trophy anyway. Get them in the Johnson's Paint Trophy. Yes, potentially teams might miss out on Wembley, but do you know what? You're playing against 18, 19-year-olds. Fucking step up and play. And you know what? The way some of the signings like Dele Alli and Jamie Vardy have come into the Premier League recently, everyone that's in those League 1, League 2 sides should be looking at as an opportunity to be shop windowed, because scouts and that are going to be watching. If you put in a decent performance against United, score 2-3 goals, absolutely run the show, and you're a 20-year-old midfielder yourself, you telling me that they're not going to be like, how about come and have a word, mate? They need competitive football. It's too fucking nice, Premier League 2. Apart from like the occasional derby, United play Liverpool or City, it's just fucking flat. This one is from Gurpeat Man. I've just lost it, sorry. Alternatives to Pogba, again, like Cruz or Kante was the only ones I was really interested in. This one is from James Dutton. What do you think will happen with this Marshall situation? I know they're just rumours, but you understand where he's coming from to an extent. I don't think anything's going to happen. I really don't think anything's going to happen. I did a Google search for it yesterday. Sorry, a Twitter search for it yesterday. Marshall unhappy. And the first one that I found of it was some fucking Nigerian sports reporter. I'm not saying this guy doesn't have maybe connections, but he probably doesn't have fucking any connections, does he? And then there was nothing until that. And then after that, people saying Marshall was unhappy. So, fuck that. Alex Burton, Rooney, stay or go? If he stays, how many more seasons will he have left? There's a lot of talk that he's going to China. There was talk that he was going this summer. There's more talk that he's going next summer. Maybe he's got one more season in him. To be honest, there's better number 9s in him, there's better number 10s in him. What he's done at the club's amazing, but everyone has to leave the club. Cantona left at 31. And I thought we'd never see the like again, but whatever. Henry Butler, if Memphis, Zlatan, Marshall, Mkhitaryan, Rooney all turn up, who's your front four? Probably drop Memphis, go with Mkhitaryan on the right, Marshall on the left, Rooney at 10, Zlatan up front, I think.
If we bought Pogba for 100 mil now, had him good for 3 seasons, then sold him for 50 mil in like 3 seasons.
If we sold him for 50 million less than we bought him, fuck that noise. If we sold him for a £50 million profit, maybe. But sometimes it's best to resist those transfers, isn't it? I mean, look, we got 80 million for Cristiano Ronaldo, and everyone was like, fucking hell, world record fee. He then went on to score more than a goal a game for Real Madrid, and you're like, how much would you have paid to have a goal a game added to every single scoreline that we had? More than 80 million, I reckon. Andrew Eaton, 2 more to go. Do you think we have a chance of winning the title? And if so, who do I think would compete with us? Also, how do I think the Connor and Nate rematch will go? And what time am I doing it? I'm doing it right now, mate. Yes, I do think we have a chance of winning the title. I think City probably going to be our challengers. They've got quality players in the team already. I think it is a little on the old side. I think it's going to take a little while to adapt to Guardiola, but I do think they will challenge. I just think we're probably better than them. I think we've got a better manager than them. I think Chelsea are going to be in the mix. Arsenal will be 4th. But Spurs could be dangerous with what they're doing there. Leicester I'm unsure about, because half me thinks, you know what, they've probably peaked, especially if they lose Mahrez. And then the other half of me thinks, you know what, they've got some really good players. They've lost Kante as well. Ranieri's a decent manager, very good manager. if he's astute and their scouting team's up to it, then they could sign some more gems and they could still compete. Now, I don't think they'll win it, but they could definitely compete. And when you're competing, you're causing upsets to everybody else. So it's going to be a very, very interesting season. I just can't wait to see the Scousers when Klopp doesn't perform miracles like they're expecting. And City to an extent as well. If they're not in the hunt, if they're 5th, 6th, way off the pace, be interesting to see how they react to Guardiola, and the same with United in all honesty as well. It'd be interesting to see how we react to Mourinho if it's going tits up. As for Nate and Connor, how do I think that rematch is going to go? I think Connor's going to try and stand and bang with him, and I think Connor's stance. Nate's a very, very, very good boxer. Great head movement off centre line, great counter punching, excellent jab. He's like a pure boxer. Connor's got to make this a kickboxing match. Nate's shown to be vulnerable to leg kicks, and Connor's got some excellent leg kicks when he decides to use them, because he doesn't use them that often. But if he does use them to the inside, is southpaw against southpaw, I think. So if he uses them to the inside of the league leg on Nate, it's going to slow him up. It's going to prevent Nate wanting to try and take him down. Connor throws a lot of his head kicks as a distraction. He doesn't really throw them to knock you out. He's not throwing roundhouse kicks looking to finish. He's throwing them as distractions. He's backing you up. He's moving you around the cage in places that you want to go with them. But I think leg kicks would be the one. And if I was Connor, I'd be looking to almost go around with what Jose Aldo did with the old Dutchie, with the leg kick, left hook sort of combos, and see what he can work off with those. I think he's got a harder punch than Nate. I think he was also surprised at how well Nate could take a punch. The problem was, in the last fight, I thought McGregor looked like he expected to win it more than was working towards winning it. I thought he was maybe didn't respect him as much as he needed to respect him. And he was just looking for the highlight reel KO, wasn't he? He was looking for that single punch. He was looking for the counter left, or he was looking for the uppercut to come in and finish him. And he was throwing those with bad intentions, but he was throwing them like that was going to be the one punch that finished the fight. If he can look to land decent combinations, 2-3 punches, you don't need many combinations to land with MMA gloves, and you'll go. He wobbled Nate a few times. He was also wobbled himself by Nate. I'd like to see Conor win it, in all honesty, because I think it's better for the sport to have somebody like Conor back on top again. And I think the hype train in Europe keeps growing if McGregor does win that. Will he win that? Fuck me, Nate's dangerous. He's better than him on the ground. McGregor's a brown belt, right? Which is, if you've ever rolled, what a brown belt will do to you is like what I can do to a child. They'll just fold you up and just tie you in knots. But Nate's a black belt, and there's levels at black belt. You could be a new black belt, or you could be a fucking high level black belt like Nate is. And I imagine, even if it was just rolling pure jiu-jitsu rules, because punches change everything on the ground. Like, just sport jiu-jitsu where you're just grappling is one thing, but when people are throwing elbows and dropping stuff like that on you, it changes up the game. There's levels to jiu-jitsu, and I think Nate is on another level. So Conor doesn't want to go to the ground with him. Conor's good on the ground. I think people are giving him shit for his ground game because of what Nate did to him, but Nate's fucking elite. Don't want to go to the ground with Nate. Nate's going to beat you on the ground. That's his place. I think he does jiu-jitsu more than anything else. He does jiu-jitsu and boxing and trains with like Broner and stuff like that. So he's got to bring a kickboxing match, and he's got to bring all the tools, and he's got to smash that lead leg because he is very heavy on his lead leg, and then he's got to maybe work the body with some kicks in a similar way that he did with Chad Mendes. But then he's got to mix it up. He's got to go to the legs. He's got to go to the head, and he's got to throw the same sort of bombs that he was throwing to knock him out last time. But he's got to follow him up, and he also needs to keep his hands up a little bit because Nate's going to land on him, and we saw he got wobbled himself. It's a fucking brilliant fight. And that's why they got to do it. Like, I won't be putting money on it. I'll tell you that for free, because that's one surefire way to lose a load of cash. Right, last one, I think. I know we missed that one there. What do I think Marshall's reason is for unfollowing you? I don't even know if he did. Who cares, to be honest. Jamie Hunt 001. Thoughts on the Fabinho transfer? Reckon it will happen? What stage do I think the Pogba deal is at? I'm not sure because I think there's a potential for bringing in a right back, especially since Varela's gone. Fosu Mensah is not a right back. I mean, Valencia is not a right back really in the grand scheme of things. He's a right midfielder or a right winger. He's just adapted to be able to play a decent role at right back. So I don't know. I don't know on Fabinho. That's the one you're not really seeing a lot of in the papers to really find out what's going down and drill down into it. What stage do I think Pogba's at? I think the papers know exactly what it's at, and I think they're not lying to us in that sense. I think we agreed with a player, roughly, the terms, with his agent. I think we've probably, as per L'Equipe, United and Juventus have agreed on what we will pay them. And what they're saying this morning is there's a little bit of wiggle room on who pays Raiola for the deal. Does some of it come out of Juventus's cut? Do Juventus get X amount and then United have to pay him as well? And I'm sure there's not a lot to it, to be honest. I'm sure it's the sort of thing that's going to get dealt with and wrapped up pretty soon. I reckon for the Charity Shield, maybe even before Rooney's testimonial, we'll probably find out. But these things can take time. The bigger the deal, the more complicated it is, especially when you have dual ownership rights with Raiola owning a percentage of the player, Juventus owning a percentage of the player. The bigger the deal, the more people want to get involved because the risk is ridiculous. Can you imagine we sign him and he fucking goes shark fucking fishing in Miami where he is and loses a leg? Can you imagine that? Oh, we've got good insurance for that sort of shit. Jesus Christ. Anyway, thank you for joining me on the old Sunday paper review. And oh, we've got one more. Just come in. David Sweeney, you're lucky. We'll finish on this one. Academy/under-21 players likely to make a breakthrough this season. Tuanzebe was one that I thought could do it last season. I think he's kind of on his way to doing that already. Besides that, nah, not really. They're all a bit young. The ones that broke through last season were 18-year-olds really. I think a lot of the ones that was 19, 20 and above have sort of been moved on or moved out of the club. You're looking at a very young academy side at the moment, which is probably why we didn't do so great in the under-18s, because the under-21s was filled with 18s, but still won the league. The under-18s was largely filled with a lot of under-16s. The under-18s this year has gone Galacticos and scoured the world for a load of good players. I think you've probably seen most of everyone that's going to come through. Roshan Williams could be one. Local lad, unbelievably quick. Tuanzebe is another one. Terrell Warren. But there's three centre-halves. I don't think there's a lot of opportunity at centre-half when you're a teenager. So I'd be very surprised if any of them break through. I'd like to see Pereira advance. But besides that, not really. The under-18s this season, can't wait to go and get a friendly watched with those. Looking forward to seeing how they're going to shape up this season. Still no permanent manager appointed. Tommy Martin's still manager, I think. So we shall see. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Hit me up on Snapchat. I have the same username on everything, Mr. Stephen Howson. That's Instagram. Facebook page, which I might start doing a couple of lives on as well. So go and check me out on Facebook, Mr. Stephen Howson. And Mr. Stephen Howson here on Snapchat as well. Or just scan this. Screenshot the page, scan that, and then you'll be able to send me a question next week. Is that 28 minutes or 38 minutes? That's 38 minutes. Jesus, this is going to take ages to process. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Stick anything you like. You want to get some discussion going in the comments. Maybe next week there'll be more videos coming out. Maybe not. We'll fucking see, won't we? Thanks for watching. See you in a bit.